As I think about the future of our communities, I think that what's most significant at this point in time is just the absolute pace of change. The ability for people to interact with the public service today is very, very different than it was even 5 or 10 years ago. And the ability for people to mobilize ideas and bring interesting concepts in front of municipal government is probably as rapid as it has ever been. And so the challenge I think that we really face is how do we position ourselves to be successful in that rapidly changing environment? How do we give and develop the skills for the people that choose to work in our organization to not only work in the environment but actually thrive in the environment of the public service? Well, when we think about the future of the profession, our role is going to be much, much more focused around our facilitation skills, our ability to work in the grey areas, our ability to work across boundaries, and to collaborate more effectively. And so it is a shifting expectation. We will always be subject experts, but just the fact that we are the subject experts will just be part of the conversation. That won't be the reason for a de facto decision. It's going to be a much more organic process as leaders in our community and the role that we play in providing advice. And fundamentally, it's about making our decision makers more effective decision makers. Well, the high point so far is actually always no surprise. It's been the people. Whether it's meeting new managers, assistant managers, people that work in different organizations, more staff within ICMA, and just that whole level of interaction is just taking that for me to another level. Every time I go somewhere, I seem to learn something new. I get a chance to reflect on that, and I get a chance to tie that back into what we do in the city that I happen to work for. Well, we think about Charlotte coming up, the 100th anniversary. I think it's going to be a great time. It'll be a coming together of our profession. It'll be a time of reflection on where we've come in the last 100 years. But it'll also be a time where people really start to think think forward. Think about the next 100 years. Think about the next 50 years. Think about the next 20 years. And I think what'll be really neat about Charlotte is that the people in our profession will be there and they'll feel a real sense of pride, and I think they'll feel a real sense of achievement when they think about the absolute role that the public service plays in the quality of life for citizens. And it's a nice point, in a sense, to tap ourselves on the back. Say, we've done really well. We've got an opportunity to do great stuff in the future. So let's get on with it. As we think about our future, obviously it's the next generation that is going to lead our profession, and it's really important that we engage with the academic institutions that support their learning. And so whether it's the expansion of student chapters, whether it's the interaction that we do with various programs that are offered, we have to be connected. I have the opportunity to speak to a couple of different MBA classes, and the neat thing about that is that we can share the vision of municipal government, we can share the fun that comes with working in our sector. And in our case, it's actually the outcome has been that we've had grads join the city, and I think that's a really successful outcome. But it's consciously thinking continually about growing the capacity and ability of people that choose to come into our profession. So people say, why ICMA? Like, what's the importance? What's the relevance of our association? And I think very quickly we can identify a huge benefit that ICMA brings to supporting our membership, advocating on behalf of the profession, and supporting people as they go through their careers. So ICMA is actually really about leadership. It's about capacity building. It's about supporting the growth of our profession. So over the last number of years, with my involvement in ICMA, there's been greater interest amongst our staffs to get connected with ICMA, and we've recently done a pilot program where we've actually created 40 memberships within the city, and those memberships have been targeted to people that are actively interested in ICMA, irrespective of their position within our organization. And what it's led is a sort of a cross-pollination of ideas within the city, but it's also led to a sort of a greater connection with our association as a whole. So we have people who are part of the fellowships program. We've had people that present at conferences, and we've had people attend conferences. So it's been a nice opportunity to expand the boundaries for people that choose to work in our city. Over the last couple of months, we've had a group of individuals come together to talk about, the leadership expectation for managers going forward. It's been a very dynamic, very engaged group, and I think is going to bring some really interesting ideas back to the board of ICMA. And I think what it will really do is consolidate the idea that one of the really important key elements of ICMA is around the leadership perspective and how we support and develop leaders in our profession.